So what happened?
Welcome back to the world.
Thanks. It only took 2 ciders, 2 fireballs, and half a glass of wine to knock me out. So.
Yeah, well, and, knowledge of impending doom, I guess, is a good sedative.
I mean, I honestly do sleep as a defense mechanism. My therapist has called me out on that.
I think that's common, right? It's one of the symptoms of like depression, anxiety, or something is wanting to sleep a lot. So
for sure,
makes sense. And this is a depression-inducing, anxiety-inducing election, so that makes sense. And since we were stupid enough, masochistic enough to want to follow it in detail.
Dumb. You had much more patience for it than I did.
That's because there's something wrong with me.
Disease.
Yeah, political science major, I guess. And I used to be a regular liberal and follow this with all the...
Yeah, you were in the game for a long time.
Yeah, and by in the game, I mean absolutely doing nothing directly with politics, but just following it like a nerd.
Yeah,
so,
it was your sports.
In the game like a fantasy football manager is.
Yeah. I was into it, but I never knew like the numbers part,
Yeah. Okay, so let's catch you up.
Well, the only news I've gotten is I woke up and checked Instagram and there was a banner, which I don't go to Instagram for breaking country news.
They just told you
the votes are still being counted. That's what they told me.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. Good starting point. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to start with the House because I like to work up to the bigger picture.
Okay.
So the House of Representatives, it seems like the Democrats will keep the House. It's officially not yet being called because people like to be official. But if you go to Politico or something, they're going to tell you that the Democrats look like they're going to keep the House.
Okay.
There's too many, there's too many toss-ups to really officially call it, but whatever.
Okay.
Who cares about the numbers really? It just looks like the Democrats are going to keep it.
Yeah.
So here's another thing though. Who cares about the exact numbers? But also, why does it matter to us whether the Democratic Party keeps the House?
Oh, I mean, the House is a little more Democratic than the Senate. I mean...
Well, so the Senate, the other...
The Senate sucks.
The other shoe is the Senate. Oh, you mean just like Democratic spelled D?
Yeah, that's what I mean, spelled
D. That's true. Yeah, the House of Representatives is the people's house, or it's supposed to be anyway. It's popularly elected, every 2 years.
Actually represents populations.
Everybody's up for election. It is gerrymandered. I mean, don't get me wrong there. Yeah. But... it is...
in the meantime.
It is everybody's up for election every 2 years. It's not like senators staying there all the time,
Yeah.
So, I guess it's more direct.
That also sucks, because don't you have to spend, your whole time running, basically?
Yeah, they are less effective as lawmakers that way, because when they get you in, and I remember AOC complaining about this, it's they just teach you how to fundraise, basically. Yeah. That's your job.
Fucking useless.
So, if our podcast is going to be doing modern day DeLeonism saying we're going to do
both
politics and activism at the same time. Okay, well, electoralism, right? How could we do electoralism to do better than losing 3 seats and still holding on to the House? How could we not do as shitty of a job, do you think?
I mean, I have this on some notes later, but general voter suppression is very bad. And the gerrymandering, very bad. We just need to fucking redo the system. Just be this all is bad. Throw it out. Let's try this again. Everyone gets election day off. Everyone can vote. Fucking reinstate felonies or people who've committed felonies for voting. No voter ID laws. No...
Well, federalism gets in your way there. The states getting to do their own thing. You kind of have to do
that.
Well, you would. Okay, so I think it's a harder win. I think it's a harder push to be no, states can't decide things. I think it's harder to convince people than just doing what the GOP did and just take over the states.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, and it's good for our project overall if you were to be no, states, please don't do that, because it does make it to where people have different rights in different states.
Exactly. I mean, my opinion on states. I told you this last night while drunk. I think states should be a charming marker as you travel across the country. It's just ooh, I'm in Texas, they have chili fries, it's just for tourism.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's a good long-term I'm just thinking short-term.
Oh, yeah, we're not there.
Come on. Yeah. But you're right. It's bad for people's rights.
It is, and you shouldn't have to fucking run away because your state has bad laws. You shouldn't have to drive for hours to get an abortion because your state has bad laws.
And that's I mean, it's going to be classist eventually. It's just going to
absolutely.
It's going to be poor people can't do that. They're stuck.
Yeah, and so many people, like, shit on the South, say, like, why don't you just move? And, like, I always thought I was going to leave Texas, but, like, guess what? I just fucking bought a house here. Like, it's not happening. I like it here, except for that one bit.
Yeah, and it's a major bit, but yeah. So, I mean, I think the shorter-term solution is a harder one in its way, is take over the states, is do the annoying, dirty work that the GOP has been doing for a long time, is take over the state houses. They put a lot of resources into that. They were getting owned at the presidential level while they were subtly taking over everything else. Yeah. You know, that's a good observation that we do need to do that.
Long term.
We do need to, and also make that long term change. We have to make some change at the state level to be able to change of the rules, I guess, or the procedure to actually look at taking it over.
To actually be able to fucking vote.
Yeah. So that's the House. I didn't really want to get too much into it, but basically the Democrats are going to keep that. Okay. The Senate, the question was going to be, would the Democrats take the Senate? From my analysis so far is that they're probably not going to take it. Currently, as of recording time, which is 8:15 Central Time, the Democrats have so far taken 2 seats. The Republicans have so far taken 1. It's still technically a toss-up. I don't think the Democrats are going to get what they need to take the Senate.
Okay.
They might.
I mean, I doubt it. They're professional losers.
I don't know. That makes, if they don't, that sucks for them. Like, and this sucks for possibly like governing, because the Senate is always going to be in your way. The Senate is always going to be in your way if it has a bare majority, because they can still filibuster and shit.
Yeah, no, the Senate is fucking stupid.
Yeah. And when we talk about how could we do better in the House of Representatives, I think we may both be in agreement when we talk about how we could make the Senate better.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, the Senate is a totally archaic, terrible, I don't know, it's bad. Undemocratic.
It's really undemocratic. It makes no fucking sense why 2 white guys from, like, Wyoming can have that much power. I'm not even going to bother to look up who they are, because I'm sure they're white guys.
Wyoming just shouldn't. I mean, Wyoming is not as big as, the major cities in Texas.
Exactly.
And it's got, 2 senators to itself. That's silly. And that's the Electoral College system is that way, because you've got every state's guaranteed 3 Electoral College votes. That's 2 senators and a representative. If you're one of these tiny little states that shouldn't have the 2 senators, you know? It's crazy. It makes them way more powerful than they should be. Not to mention the whole 6-year term thing. Yeah. 2/3 of the body is not up for election every time.
That's pretty bad.
It's designed to not respond to people on purpose.
Yeah,
and it was designed at the beginning not even to be directly elected, so...
Wait, that would be appointed or what?
Well, no, like the state legislatures would vote.
Oh God!
On whom among them to send.
That is a cabal.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the elite of the elite.
Yeah, Jesus.
And I mean, it's modeled after the Roman Senate. It's like officially, aspirationally, a house of the elite.
Yeah, that's not good.
The left should be opposed to it. And that's, again, a long-term project. I mean, you can't really...
People are going to come in clutching their Constitution blankie and say we can't do that. So, yeah, we should just burn their blankie.
You really have to do, decades, generations worth of corrupting the youth before you can get to...
Get out there. That's your job.
Yeah. Or you can hope to abolish the Senate. You have to do a lot of work.
You do it in the schools. I do it online. Between the 2 of us...
We'll get it done.
Yeah,
eventually.
My next book is going to be about corrupting the youth.
So, that we'll talk a little more about what the Senate outcome means for the direction of the government a little later. All right, so let's get to the big prize, the big kahuna.
Oh, God.
The big shit show. The White House.
Okay. I don't like it.
This is, for a lot of people, the only thing they really tune into. Yeah. A lot of times that's what you do on election night in presidential years. You're just like, who won? Mm-hmm. And that's it.
That's it.
So that's why we gave you the pre-game show. Before
you had to listen to it. You had to take your medicine.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, before we get down to the nitty-gritty, what do we think about just this situation playing out? I mean, it's crazy. Like, people this whole time early voting in person or voting on election day in person were risking their lives to do that during a pandemic.
Very bad. Very bad. I was very personally angry that I had to risk my life for Joseph R. Biden.
It doesn't look like he has much life left to return to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was feeling the same way. I was feeling like bizarre. I don't know. I wasn't feeling personally scared for myself maybe, but I'm just standing there in the election line with a bunch of yahoos, and just looking
You had
around.
a line?
Yeah.
I didn't have a line.
And it was early voting too, but still. And I'm just looking around like, why am I doing this? This is weird. This is like end of day shit. Everybody's got a mask on, standing kind of apart, not fully. And the people around me, it's kind of suburban Texas. So before we got into the building, this guy was on his phone like, oh, I'm out here to make sure Trump gets elected.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. He was just talking to somebody on his phone. And it's just like, why am I here? What am I doing? This is not going to mean anything. And anyway, point is, a lot of people must have been feeling that way in this crazy time.
Yeah. I felt like, so I live downtown, and it's a much like more diverse area. It's not downtown. It's a few minutes south, but
Sure.
I like wanted to thank like the little old ladies that were working the poll, because I'm like, you might die from this. It does not seem worth it. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I felt bad about that, but my polling place was nearly empty, I'm sure, because everyone in my neighborhood is disenfranchised in some way. So
yeah, that's another thing.
Very Black and Latinx neighborhood. So
yeah, and that's again deliberate. We were talking about the gerrymandering and everything, but picking your voters as well, not just in drawing the districts, but in qualifications and stuff, disenfranchisement.
Yeah, that's very fun. Oh wait, here's the thing that makes me very angry. I watched that West Wing special.
Oh, goodness. Give us a report from that frontier.
Yeah, it was rough. I watched it with my husband, who still very much loves West Wing, so we just don't talk about it. And the whole time, so they were, the premise of it was they were doing like a stage play of an episode. One of their like more boring episodes, in my opinion. But I think it's just because like it was all in the White House, so they didn't have to go anywhere.
Was that the Mansfield Landing one?
Hartsfield Landing.
Hartsfield Landing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were doing that, and then in between, like, some of the actors would, like, give interviews like, voting's important, here's why, and just, like, all these little fucking PSAs.
Yeah.
And it was just, the whole time, there's, like, it's the most important thing you do. Like, why do you think they're trying to take it away from you? And I'm like, they already took it away from so many people. Like, it's no longer viable. Like, it just, if it's actually the most important thing you can do, everyone should be able to do it, like, so fucking easily. It's just mind-boggling.
So you're meaning maybe what they mean is that's why they're targeting it to take it away from you, but you're saying they have already succeeded so much that those remaining who can vote can't have as big of an impact. Like it's less meaningful for them.
I think it absolutely is. I mean, look at like the fucking numbers. Like the Electoral College has consistently screwed us over every fucking time.
Yeah.
Like if people could actually vote, like the Republicans wouldn't exist.
Yeah, and I think it was strange that it was surreal that there was kind of already a foregone conclusion for many analysts was like, Trump's probably going to lose the popular election, but we're still following the Electoral College
like,
because
that's not normal.
We're a game show nation. I mean, like,
yeah,
why do we have this thing up? Like, we voted, and it didn't do anything because we're in Texas.
It didn't do shit. So I do not understand this. It is just offensive to me to have this hammered in. I yelled at my phone several times this month, just being like, I already voted. Can you stop? But it's just so annoying to be constantly flooded with this like guilt tripping of like, vote, vote, vote. When it's like, fucking why? This isn't going to do shit. I voted because, I mean, there are some Dallas propositions that I was interested in. Mm-hmm. By the way, they had this proposition. It was a 5-part thing about schools. One of them was a natatorium. Do you know what a natatorium is?
It's a swimming thing.
I did not know that. I had to Google it.
Okay.
It makes it sound very academic, but no, I voted against the football and swimming pool. Sorry, guys. I voted for the arts instead.
Nerd. Okay. All right. We see where your loyalties lie.
Sorry. Anti-jock.
Now, this perspective, I think, we're both coming from a more, not a swing state.
No. Well, as much as they tried to fucking sell it to us as a swing state last night, can we talk about the maps? Or are we there yet?
Sure, let's get into it.
Sure. So we swapped between a few news channels last night, and we saw some bonkers predictions, guys. I thought I was going to have the worst predictions because I've been in my anti-election bubble, but no, somehow these people that were paid for it had worse predictions than me.
Yeah, and this, so it ranged from just confusing, which I think is what CNN was doing a lot of the time because they were like, they would just put someone as blue or red without any sort of like middle ground. So they would just be like, oh, confusing. They're leading, so it's blue. They're leading, so it's red. So you had a weird looking map all night.
What was very frustrating is they have the ability to do opacities. Like I saw them do it, but they wouldn't use that. Like some of them were like light pink, you know, and it's like, what? Just use that if you're not for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And they would, and this was when, you know, barely any returns were in, and they would be like, oh my gosh, it looks like, you know, these ridiculous states. South Carolina's blue. And you're just like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I can see at the bottom that's like 13% reporting, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but that was just confusing. But then you also had, once you had enough returns coming in to start making calls or keeping things as toss-ups, you had states that really were toss-ups for too long. Like,
they had Texas.
Texas
for a
was
long time.
listed as a toss-up when the numbers, which were coming in from like the cities, had it, I don't know, like a 10-point
It was still
Trump lead, and you're just like, okay, I mean, I don't think that's going to pan out. I don't know. I'm just from here, but like, it doesn't look like, I don't think that's going to happen.
But,
and you know, at the end of the night, when you end up with 96%, it's 52 to 46. I
Yeah,
don't think
fuck
that's
that.
super close, you know, but maybe that's another West Wing influence sort of thing of, this is going to be just like Matt Santos or whatever.
Matt Santos was from Texas. Come on.
So I thought that was annoying. The swing states, in terms of other places like Georgia and North Carolina, those actually ended up being a little more swingy. We'll talk about that in a second. But some of them were fantasy land swing states, and it was crazy.
It very much felt like he was just tapping on shit to fill time.
Well, that, and I think that, you know, we did kind of a browse of the different places. It's funny, later on in the night, Fox News did some of this because I went and saw what they were doing.
So were they trying to make it look like...
So everybody was like comforting themselves. So
It is very weird.
yeah, CNN, MSNBC, they'd be like, okay, so this, I know this looks bad, but you know, it'll get better. It'll probably get, no, they're just coming up with wild ways that it could possibly get better. And then later on in the night, when things looked like they were turning, Fox News was kind of doing the same thing. So it's crazy. I guess people just, you know, they know that they're open partisan places.
I read a quote in a crossword that said the most convincing lies are the ones you tell yourself.
Ooh, ouch.
Wisdom.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the swing state, and the only reason we end up with this swing state dilemma, everybody focusing in on this thing, like we were complaining about the Electoral College and voting when it seems useless. That is coming from our kind of like safe state perspective. Like if you do live in a swing state, you end up with a lot more reason to vote, you know, and...
But you shouldn't have more of a reason to vote.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. But the way it stands, like, we wouldn't want to say that, like, oh, you guys
shouldn't vote.
Losers who went out there and voted, like, you know, wow, you did that for no reason. Like, you did, you know.
Yeah.
I think you had way more of an influence than we did. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But it shouldn't be that way. Everybody should feel like when they go vote, something actually happens that's tangible and makes a difference in the aggregate.
Yeah, if only.
So that's kind of just the general complaints, I think, and the fantasy swing states of the maps that we saw.
The coverage was very frustrating. I zoned out after a few hours, but we kept cracking the fuck up because they would go, key race alert, and then zoom in, and just to show us an undecided state that said too close to call with like 14% reporting. And it's like, this is not key race alert.
And several times, the percentage had just not changed.
Yeah.
It was just like still 75% reporting, whatever.
I mean, talk about bullshit jobs. Like, these people, they were just there to drag this out for as long as possible. They couldn't have just been like, hey, let's talk about voter suppression during these, like, times when we don't have numbers. Let's talk about, you know, felonies and their right to vote. No, we got to fill it with literally the same data we showed you 2 minutes ago, because what if you got up to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, it was, that was hard to watch. So we assisted ourselves with beverages.
Yeah. John King's fat ass helped. In a good way.
He was thick.
Like, his suit was tailored nice.
It was a good look for him.
He was va-va-boom.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was the pre-election polling. For some reason, I was still tuned into this.
I was not. Can I tell you the only exposure I had to polling?
Sure.
Someone's Halloween costume was Nate Silver's polling, and like the red part was like the bikini area, and it was these little balls they had pinned thso and the rest of their costume was the blue balls.
That's hilarious.
That's the only poll I had seen.
I wasn't like crazy enough to like do it ahead of time, but you know, I haven't been following this for months, the polling.
Yeah.
But I had just kind of tuned in and been like, okay, well, what do the polls say? What do these say? You know, that sort of thing. And the polls all had like, you know, Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, you know, up, especially Wisconsin and Michigan like up reliably, it seemed like. But for some reason, I was even still paying attention to these guys, considering how much they had botched 2016 and everything.
I knew better. I don't know how Nate Silver still has a job.
He's a good bullshit artist, I think. Like,
my thing is, I think there's been a lack of consequences for these people.
Well, yeah, that too.
That's the biggest thing. It's like it's like training a fucking dog. Like, they fucked up, nothing bad happened, so they kept going, and like obviously they fucked up again because they didn't learn from last time. Like, they are so convinced of their own smartness that they're just going to keep telling us things and getting away with it.
Yeah. Okay, so some more kind of general complaints there.
I hate this country, guys.
It needs a lot of change for us to start liking it more. But let's talk about the state of the race as of 8:30. Okay, because it's ever evolving, it seems like. And again, this is frustrating even for people in the normal political spectrum in this country. For leftists, this is like, we're kind of rooting for Biden, which is very, and the Democrats, which is very like frustrating. Yeah. Because they're crappy too.
Yeah, they're very bad.
They're just like less bad.
Yeah.
Which is annoying to be. But let's talk about the direct state of the race. As of recording time, you've got Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Alaska. These are officially uncalled.
Okay.
Now, Alaska we know is going to go Republican.
Yeah, why are we pretending?
They just, they were late, I guess. You got to fly everything in from all the different cities, so it's fine. And some of these, like, they're pretty much leaned one way or the other, but some of them are really close. As of recording time, also, the electoral count stands at 227 for Biden, 213 for Trump, with 98 remaining out of those uncalled races. And basically, you guys probably don't care too much about the numbers. You can get that from the official sources or whatever. But the way the likelihood looks like it's going to line up is that these states are going to line up to where it's all coming down to Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
I'm surprised Georgia's still in play.
I am too. We kind of wrote that off earlier in the night.
That was one of the first ones where it's like, gone.
Yeah. They have currently 92% of the vote in, with Trump up by 2.
Wow.
Which is now that's surprisingly close.
It is.
Michigan has 90% of the vote, with Biden up by 0.2. Pennsylvania has only 76% of the vote in.
Yeah, they're the ones with that big mail-in vote count, right?
Yeah. And they have Trump up by 11. And Wisconsin, they now have 97% of the vote in, with Biden up by 0.6. Basically, the way these work out is that the mail-in ballot stuff is supposed to be more Biden. So as that comes in slowly, it's supposed to tilt the race more and seemingly overwhelmingly for Biden. So any race where he's like slightly up with votes still out, it looks like he'll probably win those, which is Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, and then any state that he's like slightly down in, it's kind of still close looking. And he's like Pennsylvania, there's so much out still, 76% only. That's what's reporting. So like, we don't know on that one either. So it's crazy. That's the current state of the race as of recording time.
Yeah, by the time this is out, it's like, you could have fast forwarded.
Yeah. What I thought was crazy, you had gone to bed by this point. What I thought was crazy was the president's address. So Trump gave an address.
I didn't see this.
And here's the gossip of how it went down. After Biden said he was going to do his speech or whatever and gave his speech, Trump tweeted out, "I'm going to give an address."
I love it. So petty.
So we think it was pretty last minute.
Yeah.
He did have teleprompters up, but during the speech, he pulls out some paper from his jacket and starts reading on that.
Okay.
Or, you know how he does. He just kind of riffs off of notes.
Yeah.
Big Sharpie written notes, whatever. So I think he kind of goes off script, and it sounded more Trump riffy than Trump reading.
Wait, real quick, what did Biden say? I think this was literally the point where I fell asleep, was him talking.
It was. Biden said, like, the night's not over, count all the votes. We think, and this was kind of crazy at the time, but he came out saying, we think it looks really good in Michigan in Wisconsin, in Arizona. He was talking about different states and saying, we think it looks good.
I feel like he was tucking in the nation. It kind of worked on me.
Yeah, he was like, don't worry,
sleep.
it'll be fine. It's okay. But the crazy thing, I think, was Trump's speech.
Yeah, what did he say?
So he gives this White House address, and behind him are about half the nation's supplies of flags, of U.S. flags. There are like
Good.
40 flags behind him or something.
Just in case you forgot where you were.
I don't know what the point of that was. He equals America, I guess.
Yep. You better believe it.
And in the address, like I said, it was very much in his riffing style. He declares victory in several states that were uncalled. Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Each one of those, he's like,
we did it.
We won. Like, it looks like we won, he says.
Wow.
He's just like, we think we won there. We think we won here. We think we won here. That sort of thing.
Okay.
So it just says, we won those. And that was not it. He also called the election that he just said, I'm doing well in. He says, this election is a fraud on the American public and an embarrassment to our country, which is true in its way.
Oh, it's true, but not in that way. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So Comrade Trump there calling American electoralism an embarrassment to our country.
I don't think he's mad about the same parts.
No, but so he says, okay, he whines about the thing that he just said he was doing well in. And then he declares, quote, frankly, we did win this election. And then he reiterated, just to make sure you heard it, quote, we will win this election. And as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it.
There's going to be so many angry people
I mean,
out there.
I was kind of pissed off at that. That was like...
No, it's a dictator move.
Yeah.
That's very bad. If we saw another country do that, we would go invade them.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they're left-leaning. Like, that would...
Yeah, you're done.
Sorry. So he does that. He promises to take the fights to the court to make sure that the integrity of this election was protected, whatever, make sure he won, basically.
I heard Biden and Harris also have a big legal team, though.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, both of them are all lawyered up. They're ready to go. All the news anchors were nerding out over what that looks like. And Bush Gore comparisons from 2000 were all over the place. Crazy. What are your thoughts here?
This is not normal. This is not a good way to run things. Everyone else in the world should be laughing at us.
Yeah.
I'm also laughing at us, but in a terrified way.
In a sad for this place.
Laugh or cry situation.
Yeah. That was crazy to watch. I went back to kind of check out, make sure I got the quote right.
Yeah, that was nuts. Like I said, I mean, this would not fly in another fucking country. The only reason it flies is because everyone's too scared to fuck with us.
Yeah, that's true. You don't punch the biggest bully on the block. The way it's shaking out, I think it's going to just come down to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And there may be some sort of a legal battle about, so I don't know, because I was wondering, like, how do you even do that? Like, why would you have a legal battle about counting votes that were cast in an election? Why would you stop counting them?
What legally would stop you?
I mean, you can you can do a recount if you think something like was fucked up, but why would you do it? Just be like, oh, we're still counting the elections, and Trump's like, he said we want all the voting to stop. He doesn't want them to, he said he doesn't want them to find ballots at 4 a.m. and add them to it or something. And it's like the kind of old style fears of ballot stuffing or whatever from the old days. I don't know how that doesn't seem that occurs anymore. No. Yeah. So I don't know what is going on there. And the legal battles, it doesn't seem to make too much sense.
Well, what's weird, we were talking about this last night, is that, like, traditionally, I guess, in past years, you do continue counting votes after Election Day every time. Mm-hmm. But after a certain point, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So it's just, we're at a weird point in history where, like, it kind of does matter.
Yeah, because, again, we have this stupid system set up.
Because it's stupid.
With the Electoral College, game show nation here.
Exactly.
So that's where the race is currently standing. And I don't know. So one thing I had a question on, do you think, legal battle and everything, if Trump really wants to pull out all the stops and has done enough, his team at least, has done enough preparation to get ready for this point, how confident are you in the Democratic Party or the Democratic leadership or just Biden's team to fully fight this thing out?
Here's the thing. At first I was like, they totally will, because these nerds love rules. If there's one thing they love, it's rules, and that voting is sacred.
That's true.
But they're also big weenies, and their most important thing, that they've said this so many times, is that we have a peaceful transfer of power. And it's like, they'll do it even if it's not actually a peaceful transfer. They'll be like, well, if I say it's peaceful and I roll over, then it's still a peaceful transfer of power. That's how you get stomped.
Yeah, and that's I don't know.
I don't know. I come down on both sides of it.
I agree that
Classic
they are
bisexual.
super. I agree that they're super weak because, like, they just, like you said, they roll over at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna say. Is it's the most important thing is that we keep up decorum.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to fight things at several points in the administration that they ended up just, being completely
They
absent
use
from.
it to fucking fundraise. We saw it with Amy fucking McGrath.
Let's give a little bit. Not completely our lane, but 20 points. She lost by 20 points, and we were supposed to believe that she was like, oh, she's really going to give it to Mitch. Yeah.
It's pathetic.
Mitch McConnell's half-dead self
Literally decaying before our eyes.
is cruised to re-election, 20-point lead. Crazy. And that's just exactly what they wanted.
No, it's a money machine. I honestly think a lot of people in the Democratic Party are okay with Trump winning because it means they can keep fundraising and scaring people, sending them those emails like, check out what Trump said every single fucking time.
And we don't mean people who are voting for them.
No, I mean the party.
The apparatus. Yeah. Because regular people, of course, they're the ones facing the consequences of the elections,
Yeah, it gives them a platform. It gives them clout. It gives them all this.
And I don't know, stepping back, we say, okay, because we're kind of we're playing the game, we're getting into the race and talking about all the details like that. But when we step back and say, okay, we also really don't like what the Democratic Party is doing.
No, they also suck.
How, they didn't even report on, like, the Green Party, Libertarian Party,
really
anything
didn't.
like that. The Green Party guy, by the way, endorsed by Socialist Party USA, an actual, like, anarcho-communist guy, Howie Hawkins.
I voted for him. I love it.
Yeah. They didn't even report that, and he didn't have a chance, So, like, from the broader left project, electorally, how could we move past, the efforts to try to move the Democratic Party leftward?
I don't know.
And actually get our guys on there.
I don't know, because the thing is, it feels like the Democrats have learned to say the right things. Like, I've seen a lot of Tumblr posts that are like, you see these, like, disaffected voters who are just like, oh, fuck it, doesn't matter, like, I fucking hate Biden. And then someone will be like, actually, no, look at his platform, and they'll, like, send him to his website, and his website says all the right things, and I'm like, I have no confidence any of this will get done.
Yeah.
Like, zero.
Well, okay, and I don't either,
like, his platform, some of them look okay, some of them are still not enough, But
here are some of the headlines that give me questions about it. I rounded up just a couple, a little bit. Okay?
I saw this one.
Politico headline, talking about the results so far, the House and the Senate and everything, and the presidency saying, quote, Biden looks screwed even if he wins.
It reminds me of that Obama one that was like, don't underestimate Biden's ability to fuck things up. This was from last year, I think, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. No, it's okay. So you don't have any confidence that he can get something done, whether through personal incompetence or whether through the whole thing is, like, structured against him or anybody.
I don't think it's going to happen because of, like, lobbying and just capitalist interests. Like, it's just not. You can say, here's the thing. You can say you can support trans people. You can say it fucking all day. But until you give everyone healthcare, you don't support trans people enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you can say that you support all these, like, progressive ideals, but at the end of the day, people are fucking dying out there. You can say support black people, but unless you're actually willing to, like,
abolish the police.
Yeah, abolish the police and stop COVID and all this shit, like, it doesn't mean shit. It just means that you want them to have more jobs that they hate.
Yeah. Yeah, the jobs thing. Pile more people into this thing they hate. So, yeah, I agree with that.
People who are already working, like, 3 jobs just to fucking pay rent. You want to give them another one? Thanks, I guess.
Right. How about more? And I saw several tweets about this in Florida. How could Biden lose Florida so, handily? when they passed a $15 minimum wage by like an overwhelming margin.
It's impressive.
Someone like Bernie probably could have won because they're out there fighting for the same thing, that popular thing that won by a ton.
I saw a roundup of all the states that legalized marijuana. And do you know who wanted to put that in the Democratic Party platform? Our boy Bernie.
It wasn't the top cop of California, that's
Definitely
for sure.
not. And it's just like, these things are fucking popular. Like, people want it. They don't want the socialist label, but they want it.
So that would be our win the Democratic Party leftward strategy. Would just be run people on popular shit, which is not God, could we get paid as political consultants for that? Do what people like.
Yeah, right. I mean, they made enough stupid things. They said enough stupid shit yesterday. Fucking Jake Tapper, I gotta say this one, said, it's crazy how that Latinos in Miami are different from Latinos in Texas. And I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, they're from different places.
That was insane. I was like, what are you doing?
He's like, I didn't know brown people were different.
But they speak the same language, so it was just
It must be the same.
That was distressing, but no, I don't know.
These people get paid so much money.
I'm a big football fan. And I like to chat with my other football fan friends when we're watching games and stuff. And one of the frequent things we complain about is when commentators say really stupid shit.
Really inane shit.
And we're just like, dude, this is your job.
You should have something.
You get paid money to do this.
Yeah.
And you're that bad. And so, political commentators, I guess, same way.
That's how I feel about judges on the Food Network. I would be a great judge.
Yeah, and you get paid to do this? Yeah. Why aren't you better at it? Another ridiculous headline from Politico. These are the 21 counties that will decide the election.
Okay. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Why do we have 21 counties that will decide the election? Why not this is the one vote that put it over the top for whoever because it was a popular vote,
Yeah. What the fuck?
But it's distressing for communists, for socialists to look at all this and say,
where the fuck do we go?
Yeah. In the presidential race, at least, for sure. In terms of congressional races and down ballot stuff, we didn't have the kind of left-leaning wave that we thought we might. But I thought I saw something from DSA saying,
they
a lot of their candidates were doing well.
Yeah, we got some state legislator stuff. We did okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Okay, here's this thing. Basically, my thesis is the presidency is there to uphold electoralism at its worst.
Okay.
It's designed to elect the worst people. It's designed to not actually let everyone participate with the Electoral College. We've been talking about it. But we're so focused on it that we can't give our attention to down ballot races. It's like a smoke shield. It's like I remember the cow poster, which we referenced in our very first episode, shows the different systems of government. I remember the one for Democratic Republic was you elect the guy with the most handsome face to be on TV.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. We're just playing reality TV. And meanwhile, actual decisions are being made by other people.
Now, the counter to that is the best face for TV guy that you elect does have the nuclear codes and a lot of just power.
No,
the imperial presidency is real. So they do have a lot of power. But as we're seeing with the headline of Biden looks screwed even if he wins, if you don't get the other levers of power,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that in Barack Obama's second term.
Yeah, what the fuck did he do?
Really, as soon as 2010, the elections were up, he couldn't do anything after that or anything major. So you think that gets in the way of what we were talking about earlier, the broader left project of taking over and reforming kind of the state level stuff?
I think so, because I think we're so concerned with this big show that meanwhile, people don't know how many justices there are on the Supreme Court. People don't know who their representatives are. They don't know these things. And these are the people who are fucking around with, quote unquote, the economy and, actually doing shit. It's mostly bad shit, I'm sure.
Yeah. Question for you here. Moving forward, do you think that we should, keep hearing this on various podcasts, do you think we should be done with the Democratic Party? Or we should, this question, we've kind of addressed it a couple times here.
Well, we were talking about the paradox of during the primaries, we are clearly not important enough to be catered to. Obviously, our guy would never win. And then during general election, all of a sudden, it's our fucking fault if they don't win.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm a little done personally. on a personal offended level.
Then what? I mean, then what?
I don't know.
You're talking like creating a new party, converting the Greens.
We have a name generator.
True, we do. We could do that. I don't know. That may be another area where we go the Leon style and do both. Try to take it's splitting your resources though. That would be the downside.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, there's still so many. I mean, I think it's changing as we talked about the DSA people who won, and you have the squad and good people like that.
Yeah, true.
But that is happening on such a small and like localized level. It's only going to happen in like New York and shit like that. Then unless we get a big enough like wave of that, I don't know if we can do it because there's just so many quote unquote Democrats out there that like are fucking conservatives.
They're business, yeah. They're neoliberals or just straight, like it's just straight up conservatives.
Yeah. It's just, why are you here? You don't go here.
They're like George H.W. Bush Republicans, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Man, I agree with that analysis. I think when we were saying earlier, just do popular things. Like,
that'd be good.
Even if you ran that as Democrats or whatever, that could be effective, I guess, in taking over those state apparatuses and then changing things. And then you run up into the problem of that's a slow road.
It is, yeah.
And we're just going to burn up before then.
Honestly, yeah. So that idea was DSA runs people or whatever who have popular ideas and kick out the conservative Democrats.
Yeah. And I don't know if we have the time for it.
I mean, yeah. That's the thing. They don't have the time. They don't have the fucking money. Like, also, free elections. We should have those.
But that's where our other prong of the attack comes into direct action. And leftists, communists, socialists, anarchists should all be making demands to basically scare people into doing shit.
Now, do we make demands? Sometimes I think about this. Do we go out there and get angry about the issues that we want right now? Or do we go out there and get angry about the elections as they stand? I think we get mad about issues, but I guess what I'm saying is, would it be better to put our resources in like fucking abolishing the Senate and the Electoral College and all this bullshit that gets in the way of getting people what they want? I mean, it's a long shot, obviously.
That's what I'm concerned about, because you could.
I guess what I'm thinking.
A slower road, I think. I think that's just the same thing with extra steps. You just want it to be officially approved by the right channels that way. What you should be doing is just say, hey, we're going to do this thing. Like, we're doing this now. Yeah. You guys, whoever you got elected by some bullshit way, that's fine. You are, disproportionate power, whatever. You do want to, like, still exist without a revolution happening in the country. So do what we want, please. I
guess what I'm thinking is if somehow, fairy tale land, we did get angry enough about electoralism and all that to change that significantly. So like all these complaints we've had throughout this podcast that they would reform those somehow, that would open the door then to be like, okay, yeah, I do want weed here, please. That's true. It would have a big payoff. It would. I don't think it would happen. But I mean, I guess I'm not saying like we go through it reform wise. We go through it and like, we just all march on Washington and be like, hey, this was stupid, guys. I didn't like it. Like, this election was dumb. But when Trump got elected the first time, we had a lot of marches. We had. But it was about all these different issues. So you're saying a unified one, unified one that says, "Hey, the Electoral College, we don't want that anymore." But that's still just an issue. But it's one issue. The Trump march, I went to one, like the Women's March. It was like abortion. It was science. It was Green New Deal. It was a lot of different things at once. So you actually are saying trim it down to one issue. Trim it down to one issue that you think can change other things. Of let's go 100% popular vote. We're done with the Electoral College. Yeah. I don't think it would work. I'm just spitballing. No, I think that's good for the one, because we've talked about this before too, is we think that the Left Project would be well served by both, having people who are advocating for socialism and communism as they are, the left flank, and then people who are doing the sneaky game of saying like, oh, this is just good for America, that sort of thing. That this whole electoral reform thing would be something for the good for America crowd. Exactly. Be like, don't you want your election to be fair and free? And like, but yeah, no, like actually pushing for that reform in a way that sounds logical, because we can all see this is stupid, right? Like, we shouldn't. Every 4 years, I fucking hate it. We have to get a civics lesson. Here's how caucuses work. Here's how the electoral college works. Here's those weird fucking districts in Nebraska. Guys, this is dumb.
Yeah. And honestly, Nebraska and Maine do it better than other places, because they do split theirs more aligned to the popular vote. Yeah, the fact that no one knows what's going on and we have to get a lesson on it every 4 years maybe means your system is confusing. Yeah. And just obviously with the electoral college, right? We look at a state that doesn't end up being too close, but, Texas, 52-46. Biden got 46% of the vote. Gets 0 of the electoral votes.
It makes no fucking sense.
Right?
Is electoral college in the Constitution?
It is, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Use constitutional amendment, or you can get around it with the Interstate Voter Compact, which is that agreement that I think they only need like 3 more states to do, or something ridiculously low. But all they've agreed to do is those states have agreed that they're going to give their vote to the popular vote winner.
I remember this thing going around.
So you don't even really need to amend the Constitution. You just get enough states to agree, and then it's done de facto. So it's something that could really happen for sure. Yeah. It's frustrating for anyone on the left to look at all the too small ways to try to fix things and make things better. They all seem insufficient, I think. They do. And anybody listening to this, you got to feel frustrated, like, damn, they're just talking about like all these minor, and they are. They're not good enough. Any of the things they're talking about,
they're not. It's still a very bad system that is upheld by money and
is, what is it? An embarrassment to the nation or something? Like how Trump said that the election was. It is an embarrassment to the nation. Not the way he meant, but yeah, exactly. This whole system is. And of course, if you're like us, you're kind of lamenting what could have been.
Yeah. I wore my Bernie shirt last night, and I have a Bernie mug this morning. R.I.P. He's not dead. If you're listening to this for news, don't worry. He's not dead.
Yeah, he's fine. We were in between key race alerts. We were looking at the little build your own maps and stuff.
Yeah, we were playing fantasy smartboard map.
And we were saying, okay, what if Bernie were running the race? What would happen? And I was saying, okay, well, some of these just drop off. Georgia, North Carolina, no way, Yeah. Red Scare is still going strong there, and they're not going to do it. Yeah. Okay. But the Latino turnout, Latinx people loved Bernie. Yeah. They still do. And so
shut up.
Nevada, Arizona already called for him. Texas probably deeper red than it is.
Yeah, but we would have gotten a good showing.
But Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, solid blue. I mean, this is a guy who's out there not saying, I'm going to get you more jobs or retrain you for something. He's telling you, like, you're going to have better pay at your work. You're going to have a better union. You're going to, have these worker rights that I'll fight for. You're going to get universal health care.
Again, shit that people want.
Yeah.
Should not be that mind-blowing.
Talking to regular people
in a regular way,
visibly falling apart. Like, he has several pros that would have helped him there. And I don't think any of the other states that Biden has already had called for him would flip. Yeah, because Bernie was on the ticket.
We also did an imaginary Latinx person's map. We decided to go with a Latino just to be safe, which is sad.
Yeah, to not offend the patriarchy.
Yeah. One thing at a time, I guess. But yeah, we just said, like, all right, cool. What if you just won all the Southwest and then, like, your traditional blue states? You'd be fine.
Flip Texas, maybe.
Yeah.
If you flip
Texas, you're done.
Game over. You can lose the rest of it. I mean, so.
It's okay.
It was just distressing to see, like, they could have done that. It would have been over. We'd go to bed knowing the winner.
Yeah. I mean, we're not fucking learning our lesson is what it is.
Because, and they get all worked up, like, oh, but it's socialist, or like, okay, but a socialist is still not going to lose New York. They're not going to lose California. They're not going to lose, like, and even in all the blue states that were called for Biden, it's not like they were super close.
No, they were solid.
Squeaked by in Rhode Island. No, I mean, like, what do you got? Connecticut, you're 58-40? Like, you could lose 10 points. That's
fine. Yeah, all those things are fine.
It's, Rhode Island, 59-39. Like, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
We spent the entire fucking cycle being so, wringing our hands over suburban white women. It's like, I don't think they're on our team anymore, guys. I think we're done.
Yeah, I mean,
some of them are, I'm sure, but
there was probably a swing toward Biden in that just because of the unique nature of being a raging misogynist instead of
whatever. They didn't care about it last time. They went for him last time.
but not by huge margins. And he could couch himself in being the change outsider guy, versus, well, we saw him. He's just the same as a president. Anyway, that was frustrating.
Very
and
much
again,
so.
If you're on the left wing, especially if you're further left than we sometimes feel, then you're like, come on, Bernie's just a lousy sock dem too. So
Yeah, I get it. Miles better than this, though. Like, come on.
Yeah.
This is
Plus,
sham.
we're not saying that even with Bernie, you shouldn't have direct action. I mean, you totally
for sure.
should. Anybody, And Bernie ultimately was just going to be like a more receptive ear.
Yeah.
Someone whose sympathies would be, broadly speaking, on our side and would want to kind of please us and would be more would be less likely. Ultimately, this is what you're saying with the presidency being a bad office, is ultimately what you're hoping for in a president is someone who is less likely to take an oppressive stance towards you when you try to demand something. Someone less likely to call in the National Guard on you.
Exactly.
Someone more likely to make concessions. That's who you want. You want someone who you can bully. Okay, so we've kind of covered the race, probably poorly, but we're not paid to do this. And I think we didn't do that much worse than everyone on TV. So
I knew that Latinos are different in different places. So
yeah, we did. We were better prepared in certain ways. Now, what do we think about going forward? What do we think people should be? I don't know. People should be doing or feeling or trying not to feel. What are we thinking?
Well, I think it's a balance, and I don't know. I get very frustrated by. I saw so many people posting yesterday, just saying like, "I'm going to stay offline. Here's my self-care plan for this week," and like all the stuff. And I'm like, that's great. Like, obviously, I'm an advocate for mental health, but I'm also like, what are you doing though? Like, you can't just say that like, there's a trend going around to like self-care as praxis. And it's like, ooh, that doesn't super sit right with me. You still have to do shit.
Yeah, it's insufficient.
You should take care of yourself because, you can't give water from an empty vessel.
Yes.
But like, also do shit. Even if it's passive shit, like what I do is just throw money at things. But still, you should do something.
You say you can't give water from an empty vessel, but you can't give water from a vessel that's not tilted.
Exactly. Yeah, you still have to remember to water your shit. Yeah.
And so I agree with you. You do need to be making sure that you're all right, making sure you're okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So that you can take meaningful action.
Yeah. Right? Don't forget the second part.
Means
I guess
to
is
an
what
end.
I'm saying. Yeah. Yes.
It's important for a reason, and that reason is so that we have you there to carry on the struggle. Yeah.
And again, like, that's a super privileged fucking place, is to be able to take yourself out of this. Like, a lot of people fucking can't. So
that's true. That is true. Going forward, if we're looking at the returns, it looks, I guess, more likely that Biden wins. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't work out that way, if Trump wins, what would be your advice to our listeners, leftists, communists, socialists, anarchists, all our friends?
All our friends. Oh, God, I don't know. I feel like my advice is actually going to be the same for both, which is, like, stay fucking angry. Like, this isn't good enough. I just want to emphasize that this is not normal. This is not a good way to run things. This is fucking bullshit. And you should be angry about it. And you should tell everyone you know about how fucking bullshit this is. And keep educating yourself about how bullshit this is. Mm-hmm. And try to help people where you can. Unless
you're one of the chosen few. If you are in, I don't know, the chosen few, the chosen majority, whatever. The people who are like built to do the undercover, it's good for America. So in which case you should go kind of this, don't out yourself.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Keep your cover. Keep advocating, just America, let's do better, guys. But, be positive. But for our guys on the flank, like,
yeah,
stay
I guess
angry,
what I'm saying
stay visibly pissed, and try to convert people.
Yeah, maybe it's like, we talk about our two-prong approach a lot. Mm-hmm. Riddle me this, Batman.
Yeah. All right.
What if our secret socialist prong, we gotta get a better name for that, because the initials for that, RSS. Okay. we'll come up with a better one.
Prong, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just call it our DSA one, for lack of a better term. Maybe it's not even DSA. Like, maybe it's something even more secretive than that.
It could just be regular Democratic Party, which would be sad, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't need a name. Secret socialists. who are trying to say that it's good. I think those people should go after like centrists and conservatives and just talk to your grandma or whatever and be like, wouldn't it be cool if everyone had healthcare? Just that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I think our more radical wing can start converting our liberals. I have so many liberal friends and I'm like, I'm just waiting for the right moment to get them.
And I mean,
sorry if you're my friend and you're liberal.
Well, hey, okay. So I think the reason we think that way is because we were both liberals too. Yeah. And I think a lot of people in the left started out in some way that way.
I think most people, unless you grew up in like a hippie house, which I'm jealous.
Or, everyone goes through their weird libertarian phase, maybe their weird libertarian week. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone dabbles.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We've all been there.
But yeah, I think that might be why we come at it that way. But it makes sense. Like, you're already closer on the broad speaking political spectrum. Mm-hmm. So
just be like, hey, don't you want to, like, it's that fucking meme. Don't you want to just go ape shit?
Yeah, it's essentially more and a better version of what you're what you kind of support already. And it's the stuff that the Democrats honestly are always telling their base that, you can't have, that's unreasonable. You can't have that. So kind of implying that you do want it,
Yeah, yeah.
So I think, yeah, you're right. Those people would be ripe for radicalized
libs, and secretly convert the conservatives, like your wife. I love it.
Well, she's still conservative, but
whatever.
Not that conservative. Not crazy.
She voted for an ANCOM, so it's done.
It also didn't matter because it's Texas.
Well, still.
So that's our two-pronged approach. I think you're right that people need to stay upset, stay angry, stay doing things. Even if it's, like I said, because we're not great activists. So even if it's just like supporting organizations, paying dues, making donations, talking to people. Yeah, talking into the void.
Like we're doing now.
Hell, man, we could use some more competition in the podcast space.
Yeah, come on. There's not enough leftist podcasts out there, obviously.
Right. Start another one. Get you and your friends. Do that.
Sure. Why not?
Let's podcast our way out of it. That'll work.
That'll for sure work.
All of this could also be moot by the time you listen to this, depending on how the counts come in. Depending on if they're recounting anything, depending on if there's a court challenge, depending on a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, we just don't know.
So don't count on that. I don't know.
We're not news.
Yeah, get your news from somewhere else.
Yeah.
We're just here to offer commentary. We're good at that.
Yeah. And crazy theories on how to take over probably won't work.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's okay.
We do what we can.
We can dream. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, let's wrap this up.
All right, so for next time, we're going to be taking a break from our beloved America, since it's treated us so well this week, this month, however long, these many years we've been enduring this election, seemingly. And we're going to go watch a movie.
Yeah, let's take a break.
We're going to watch The Death of Stalin.
Cool. I almost watched it the other day, so this is good. I can actually watch it now.
Yeah, no, I watched it. Well, I'm going to rewatch it. It's hilarious. Plenty of laughs from another completely normal country.
Everything's fine. Don't look.
It's great. So
yeah. Well, ours is more like, because the Soviet model was everything's fine. Don't pay attention. Ours is everything's fine. Please look. Please look at our trash fire.
Yeah. Anyway, it'll be a good little break.
Yeah.
A dark comedy. Very dark, but still very funny.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll be looking at ragging on our favorite enemy, Stalin.
I hate him.
We get all the criticism for not criticizing him enough, or the Soviet Union enough, more broadly speaking. But here we go. Here's a chance.
He's my least favorite.
He's really not good.
Very bad.
We'll get to see him die.
Cool. All right. So in the meantime, you can find us on social media. We are on Twitter at teachcommunism. We are on Instagram at teachmecommunism. You can also email us, teachmecommunism@gmail.com. If you want to send us a episode topic suggestion or a question, we do listener question episodes sometimes. Those are always fun. And yeah, you can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Even if you're not an Apple user, you can still log in and make a review. That is super helpful to us. It helps people find the podcast. So, yeah.
We love that.
It's really good. We're also on YouTube. If you prefer to listen to podcasts on YouTube, we're there. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/teachmecommunism. The funds for that go to a mutual aid fund in our area. And if you sign up for that on the $5 level, you get access to our notes that we take for each episode.
Very detailed, very good. You can show them to all your friends. They're great
Print
notes.
them out,
Yeah.
highlight them, whatever.
Just pull them out of your pocket when you get in a debate. Actually,
these stats here disagree.
yeah.
I've heard someone uses this to study, and that's adorable to me.
Oh, awesome. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're in a Russian history class or something.
Hey, yeah, we can do enough of that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks, listeners, for tuning in to our wild election coverage.
We're kind of all over the place, but
Yeah.
it's early.
And please join us next week on another episode of Teach Me Communism, where the class struggle is always in session.
Stay angry.
Bye.